3.5 months ago, I was at a real crossroads in my life. I was in a job that I didn't enjoy and I didn't have a long-term plan for my future. After taking an extended holiday here in the UK, I decided to take the biggest risk of my life and not return home to Australia. I decided that ultimately, whilst I'm in this state of purgatory, it feels like, where I'm not really sure what I want to do next, I thought, why not try and stay here in England and make a go of it here, at least for the indefinite future. So stick around, folks, because in this video, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about the journey so far, what I've been up to in the gym, and we're going to finish with some meal prep, which I've got to cook for the rest of the week. So a little bit more about my story and how I've managed to end up in this part of the world. So I've basically been living in Melbourne for 8 years or so. I graduated from university in 2016. I did a performing arts degree. I was very passionate about, making it as an actor and being like on Brad Pitt's level, being an A-lister. I worked multiple just casual jobs because I always wanted to, have free time to be able to go to auditions or do, like, on the rare chance that someone's like, oh, you booked a role in a film, we need you to take this amount of time off, and you can just kind of say that to your boss, go, right, I'm taking time off, blah, 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 blah. Whereas I felt like at the time, if I was in a 9-to-5, that I ultimately wouldn't be able to do that. So I thought working a bunch of casual jobs at the time was best for me. And, looking back on it now, it wasn't, but that's the beauty of hindsight, isn't it? At the time, it felt like the right thing to do, but looking back, obviously I could have made different choices. So I went on a trip to Bali earlier this year, and I knew that I had a holiday to the UK to see my mum because she lives here. So I ultimately came into this, it was a 3-month holiday at the start, and I was working a job that I didn't really see a long-term future in. It was okay, like, it paid the bills, it did what it needed to, but ultimately it was just another one of these casual jobs that was just kind of filling in time whilst I chased this acting career. Once I got here to Cumbria, I realized I really didn't want to go back to that job. I've got a British passport, so why not make a go of it here? Living in another country has always been something that I've wanted to do. I was thinking actually earlier this year about moving to Canada, to pursue the acting, and I've heard a lot of Aussies go over there, and it's quite similar to Melbourne. So Canada was on my radar, but ultimately I came to England for my holiday, and once I got here, I was like, you know what? I've got a British passport. Why not just try and make a go of it over here with the acting, that is. I was tossing and turning as well. I really was. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Do I go back to Melbourne? Do I go back to Melbourne to my old job? Do I go back to Melbourne and get a new job? Do I stay in England for an extended holiday, or do I stay here for good? So ultimately, after many nights and days thinking about it, I said, you know what? No regrets. Live your life with no regrets, man. At least take the chance, take the leap of faith. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, you know what? You can look back on your life and say, you know what? At least I gave it a go. And that's what mattered to me the most. So I quit my job, and ultimately I had a return ticket to Melbourne. So I basically used that to go home, pick up all my stuff. Cause I still, I had a room for rent in Melbourne. I had a car, I had clothes, everything else that you don't take on a holiday, basically. So I had to go home and pick up all my stuff. I had to throw a lot of it to charity, a lot of it in the bin. Luckily my best friends helped me sell my car, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah, I basically came here to pursue acting. That was the goal. It was to move to London or to move to Manchester and pursue the acting. Once I got here, I got some headshots, I got some show reel material filmed, and you know, again, I was that confident I was going to get an agent. And ultimately I sent my headshot, my resume, my CV, cover letter, all that jazz. I sent it off to about 15 to 20 agents based in London, because at the time I was like, you know what, I'm going to move to London. January 1, 2025, I'm going to move to London, and that is what's going to happen. And lo and behold, I didn't hear back from any of them. Yeah. And that was the ultimate ego death, I think, of 2024. It was really defeating at the time. I remember feeling like, you know what, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And maybe that's a sign that I'm not that passionate about it in the first place. I don't know. But I knew, my mind just started wandering. Yeah, ultimately at the moment, I'm in Cumbria for a little while longer. The plan is to save up and move to Manchester or London. So to any folk in the UK, Australia, or even, you know, around the world who have lived in London or Manchester, I would love to hear you know, what your experience was. Do you recommend it? I know all I've heard so far is that London is very expensive, so that's obviously on my mind. So if you have any advice or any feedback about Manchester or London or any other cities in the UK, yeah, please let me know. So getting into a little bit about the gym now, over the last probably 2 years, I've really gotten into the gym, you know, consistently, and, you know, really starting to enjoy it, especially when you start seeing results in terms of strength, and you get into that routine where, you know, it no longer becomes a chore, and even things like, you know, training legs, it becomes enjoyable. For 2025, my goals are to hit a 5-plate deadlift, a 3-plate squat. And now that might not seem like that much, but I mean, my legs they're pretty weak, so I'll be happy with that. And to also hit a 3-plate bench press. On bench so far, I can hit 2-plate. On a good day, I can hit it for about 4 reps. I can hit about, you know, if you chuck a 5 on either side of that, I can give you a single on a good day. My legs, you know, I can hit a 2.5 squat for a single, so that's not doing too badly. But, you know, my legs have always been probably one of my weaker points, and my deadlift is probably my strongest lift, to be honest. Like, I've been training my deadlift consistently for a while now, and we've been slowly getting stronger and stronger. So I can hit 180 pretty comfortably now for a single. On a good day, I can give you 190. So yeah, I really want to hit that 5-plate deadlift by the end of the year. Now, I'm interested to know what you guys think. I've heard, you know, varying opinions on what's the optimal, you know, training pattern. Is it training 4 days a week? Is it training 6? Is it doing a low number of sets, training to failure, etc.? What do you guys think? What do you guys think, or what do you find works best for you? On a side note, one thing I do need to invest in this country is a pair of Wellington boots, some wellies, because I'm in mud country here and my shoes are absolutely covered in shit. All right, we're going to move on now to the meal prep part of the video. Cooking has definitely been something that I've taken an interest in the last couple of months. I've always kind of done a bit of meal prep for, you know, my gym and stuff like that, because I've always struggled, especially when I've been working, coming home from a long day of work and then having to cook a full meal from scratch. Like, it just takes up too much time, and I've always found it easier just to get home, pull something out of a Tupperware container in the microwave, and you're ready to eat. And you've basically got everything you need in that meal instead of having to cook something from scratch. So this is going to be a chicken pancetta one pot rice. So basically it's all going in one pot. It's super easy, and then you can just divide it into containers afterwards. So without further ado, let's get into the kitchen. Alright, so here are all the ingredients we're going to use today. Nothing too extraordinary, pretty simple, but I will leave a full list of the ingredients down in the comments. So first off, we're going to grab our chicken and we're going to dice the chicken into small chunks, small cubes. Just one thing to keep in mind, we're going to try and keep the size of these chunks consistent, just so that the chicken cooks at the same rate. Once we've finished dicing all the chicken, we can transfer that to a bowl. We can then add some garlic granules, some onion granules, and some paprika. Give that a generous serving, and then we can mix that around to let all those flavors get acquainted with each other. We can then grab our pot or our pan, and we're going to add a little bit of olive oil and bring that to heat. Ideally, you'd want to be just adding small portions of chicken and cooking it through, but on this occasion, I just added all the chicken there at once, and we're going to stir that round until the chicken is cooked through. Once the chicken's cooked, we can transfer that back to a bowl. Just make sure you wash the bowl in between so that you're not putting cooked chicken in with the raw chicken bowl. We're then going to grab our onion, red pepper and garlic, and we're going to dice all of those and put them into a bowl. Then we're going to transfer that bowl into the pan. Some of the juices from the chicken are still going to be in the bowl, so we can just use that and cook through the onion, pepper and garlic as a good rule of thumb till the onion becomes translucent. Then we're going to add back in the chicken and give that a good stir. Then add the tomato puree and give that a good mix through. It's going to start smelling pretty good at this point. I forgot to do this before, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to add the pancetta in now. That's looking pretty good at the moment. Then you're going to measure out your cups of rice. This is going to vary depend on how much you're wanting to cook. Once the rice is in, we're going to put the chicken stock in basically right away so that the rice doesn't burn. Give that a good stir, and then we can put the lid back on, and that is my best chill guy meme impression. We can chill out for a little bit at this point. You know, we can watch some Premier League highlights, put some music on, and we're going to let that cook for approximately 10 minutes. This is an optional step. You don't have to do it. I just added a tin of chopped tomatoes just to give it a little bit more of that tomato flavor. Make sure the rice is nice and fluffy at this point, and this is the fun part. You can grab your cheese. I used a low-fat cheese at the moment. Drizzle some cheese in between that and give it a mix through so that it becomes a little bit thicker and some of that excess water is taken out. You can take your lid off and your meal should be looking something like that. Alright guys, there you have it. It's time for the taste test. Let's do this.
Chef kiss.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button as it would really help the channel out. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.